As security continues to intensify ahead of the inauguration, one question is, where will protesters who have rights under the First Amendment be allowed to gather? Our Joe St. George walks us through the zones that are established and why some visiting in D.C. still feel it's worth to travel.
When protesters show up here in Washington for the inauguration, this is one of two First Amendment zones that have been established. This is John Marshall Park near the Canadian Embassy, where protesters will be allowed to gather. You can see the plastic shield keeps them in. We are located right off of Pennsylvania Avenue, and you can see the Capitol behind us, but you can also see that we're quite far from the actual inaugural stage.
One question you may have is, why are people bothering to come here at all? Unlike January 6th, President Trump is not calling for a rally, and President-elect Joe Biden has told his supporters not to come at all because of the pandemic. We found Gino Ross in town from California and asked her that question.
Everybody said don't come to D.C., stay away, but you guys still came.
Well, we planned this trip. You know, we didn't know it was going to go down like this, you know. We're here for history. We're not here because of the protests. We're not here. We want to see the Capitol.
Still, the security around the Capitol enough to make even inauguration regulars intimidated. Inside the Capitol this past weekend, it looked like a military camp. National Guardsmen on cots, some playing cards just to pass the time. In Washington, I'm Joe St. George.
Thank you, Joe. Moving trucks arrive at what's been dubbed the Winter White House, and on Wednesday will become home to a past president with a permanent address in Palm Beach. Tori Dunnan looks at the past, present, and future of Mar-A-Lago.
Mar-a-Lago now is a political statement.
A presidential footprint on Palm Beach. President Donald Trump now set to make the resort home on the heels of all the events that have unfolded in Washington, D.C.
The once quiet resort has now become a hotspot for politics, and that is having a big impact on people in Palm Beach County who either love or hate Donald Trump.
A worldwide political symbol.
Mar-a-Lago was built by Marjorie Merriweather Post, the heir to the Post cereal fortune. It was built in the 1920s. When she died in the early 1970s, she willed it to the federal government, hoping it would be a retreat for the president.
But it sat vacant.
And Donald Trump came along. And in the early 1980s, he started making early bids to buy Mar-a-Lago, and it's gone much further than I think Marjorie Merriweather Post would have ever dreamed. It's definitely a presidential retreat now.
During President Trump's term in office, it became a place for heads of state to visit, political rallies along Southern Boulevard, and the final destination of boat parades.
Mar-a-Lago for them has become a symbol as the Palm Beach County White House.
The future with President Trump residing in Mar-a-Lago has some concern about what that might look like from a non-political perspective.
I expect that the president will have lots of large gatherings that violate the CDC guidelines and violate our mask order. Absolutely.
State Representative Omari Hardy voiced his concerns about a New Year's Eve party at the private club.
I also expect to see the president here breaking our rules and doing things that really endanger the health and welfare of the residents of Palm Beach County.
And on the private side, questions arise about club membership.
Does somebody still want to associate themselves with the name Donald Trump? You know, it's a little bit when Richard Nixon became a disaster. A lot of people didn't want to associate themselves with the name Richard Nixon. It's possible that Trump went way too far, and as a result, people will not want to associate themselves with that name.
Now, only time will tell whether or not Mar-a-Lago goes back to the once quiet resort it was, or if it becomes a breeding ground for future political movements.